I'm a firm believer in when you get in a relationship, you're so happy, everyone's happy. You're in that honeymoon period, you fucking love it. Nothing better, nothing better. But as that relationship progresses, and generally with the people that I speak to, turns into far too many times turns into falling out. Both forgotten how to communicate with each other. No doubt having the children caused that. I think it did with me. That was a part of my relationship where we just got into a mundane routine, and it was just the cycle of events that ultimately led to the demise of our relationship. Breakdown of communication, blaming each other, lack of trust. That's generally how it goes. And it'll always be one person's fault. I spent years blaming my ex-wife. Years. Hey, I still do blame her. I still do. But I know there'll be something that I've done that made her do something that she'd done. And then there'll be, when she explained, if she was able to speak to me and say to me, well, she did that. And I'll say, well, you did that, but I only did that because you did that. You could go on, you could go on. What you need to remember is, if you've got children, especially if you've got children, your children don't care for your argument. Your children love you both. And if there's one person that watches this video that gets this and gets it and really gets it and then goes and delivers something off the back of it, then let me know, because what you'll find is, if both people have reflected on the relationship, they will understand that if they've gone through the change curve and they've got to acceptance fully, and they can see things through the eyes of their children, and I mean genuinely see things through the eyes of their children, there will be no arguments, because either one of the parents will make a sacrifice, and then the other parent will see that parent's making a sacrifice, and then they will feel obliged to make the same sacrifice a little bit further on down the line. That's how it works. That's called co-parenting. That's how it should work. You have a court order that's the skeleton of the benchmark of what you work into. But too often, too many times, do we, as human beings, push the blame onto the other person. Once we've taken responsibility for ourselves, can we then go and look at other people. Too many people are too quick to look at other people rather than look at themselves. And if both people in a relationship really, really, really looked at themselves, and if you've separated in your relationship, you will know that it was going to be both of you. Both of you have contributed to the demise in that relationship. Simple. If you have children, those children don't give a fuck about your little fucking argument and whose fault it is. They still love you both. If you continue to argue, if you continue to drive that conflict, what you're going to do is you're going to fuck up your child. The trauma you're going to cause is unbelievable. Now, while whoever might want to blame whoever for whatever, how's about not blaming? How's about just taking a step back, taking a moment, and think about how and what you would want to see if you were your children, and look at the world from your children's eyes, from their eyes, from if they're 6, if they're 4, if they're 3, put yourself in their shoes. I didn't, I couldn't. I was too angry. Too many of us are. And some of you watching this will be like, no, it's always her fault, no worries. And if you can't see this angle, that's fine. But you're going to have that fight with your ex forever. And the only person that's going to impact is you, because you're going to be a miserable fucker. Your ex, because they're going to be a miserable fucker. But more importantly, it's the life of your children that you're fucking up. And you're both guilty of that. If you cannot both take a step back, even if one of you does and the other person doesn't, the one person that does, you have to figure out a plan with your child and your children yourself, between you and them. The other one that doesn't, the children will soon figure out what the mature thing is to do, and it is to take responsibility. And if you're the sort of person that is taking responsibility, then you're going to teach your children to take responsibility. That's the right thing to do, because we're not perfect. No one's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. And depending on how long you've been in a relationship for, you're both going to have made mistakes. And you're both going to be able to blame each other for stuff. But if you've got children, the only person you're impacting now is not yourself, because you're both hurt, you're both damaged now. You don't like each other, granted. But respect each other for the sake of your children. Because as soon as they turn 13, as soon as they turn 14, and they get a voice, and they can use their voice. And if they can't use their voice, they'll start cutting their arms, or their legs, or they may even try to kill themselves. You don't want to be living with that shit in your head forever. Think about it. It takes the bigger person to stand up and say, do you know what? I'm not arguing with you anymore. I went there years ago with my ex-wife. I've not argued with her. Whatever she wants to be angry at, she can be angry at. If she wants to blame me, it's my fault. It's fine. My daughter can see what the reality is. People can see what the reality is. I'm just not arguing for the sake of my daughter. I'm respecting and loving, because that's the way forward. We're teaching our children how to hate. Every time your child does something bad and you shout at your child, where did that child learn that from? Who did they learn that from? And if it wasn't from you, who in your family or in your circle? Because that child is young. Everything that child knows has been accepted or done by you. And you're going to shout at your child. And you're going to shout at your child for swearing. Who taught the swear word? No one's perfect, least of all me. But taking responsibility is a little bit refreshing. Owning your shit is even better. And too many people point the finger of blame rather than taking responsibility and saying, I messed up. That's what I've got to say, really. Hopefully someone gets something from this, and you can save yourself the hassle from going into family court. You can work things out yourself and just both do what's right for your children. Make sacrifices if it means giving your children a better quality of life with less hassle. That's all you have to do. And yes, it means you have to take the hurt. And generally as the man, yeah. Because as a man, that's what our job is, whether we like it or not. We are here to make sure our families and our children have a better quality of life than what we had. And it's difficult, and it's not easy. Definitely not easy being a man. But it's not easy being a woman either. I'm not going to say one is worse than the other. All I know is that as a man, we're trying to keep people happy, we're trying to keep our daughters happy, we're trying to keep our wives happy, our girlfriends happy, ex-wives happy, ex-girlfriends happy, the work happy, your friends happy. And the only person you don't really take your time for is yourself. I'm lucky that I've learnt that, and I take time for myself through helping others. But yeah, you need to be real to yourself, everyone. And if everyone's real to themselves, well, the world would be a better place. Peace and love. Lila's glove.